Welcome back, everyone, to episode 2 of My Book of Mormon. Alright, so to recap, last time we found out that this book is pretty crazy. Oh God, where to begin? So there were some tribes from Israel that Lamanites and Nephites or something, whatever. We'll read it later. They came to America, so we haven't found out how they did that. Perhaps rowboats. And then once here, when Jesus, after he was resurrected, came and talked to him about stuff. We don't know what it was yet, but I guess we'll find out. And then some guy named Mormon put it on gold plates, gave him to his son, who added a little more content, buried it, and then a few thousand years later, the son came back, Mormon's son, what was his name? Moroni, that was his name. Moroni came back as this crazy angel who kept repeating things over and over, and he came and visited Joseph Smith and just kept telling him the same thing over and over, and then eventually told Joseph Smith, hey, here's these cool rocks that you attach to this breastplate, and when you do that, you can read these plates and then translate it into English. Yeah, all that happened. It was pretty insane. Oh, I also forgot, there was another tribe from Israel that came even earlier, like right after the Tower of Babel or something. Jaredites or something. And so I don't know what their story is yet. We'll find out. We only had the intro so far, so we'll see. Let's see what else. One of the things I did say that I would do in the first episode was, I was curious, like, okay, so they're making this claim that Native Americans were actually descended, like a lost tribe of Israel, right? The Lamanites. So I just kind of commented, gee, I wonder if anyone's ever looked at DNA evidence to see if there's any truth to that. So I looked that up, and it turns out that the answer is, yes, it's been done extensively in just every conceivable way. And there is absolutely no evidence to support that, any Native American tribe ever came from Israel. The scientific community, geneticists in general, are pretty soundly unified that Native Americans originally came from Asia. So, yeah. So then I thought, well then, if that's true, why would anyone still believe this? And I should have known, the way apologetics works. Yeah, there are some Mormon geneticists that have these, oh, no, that doesn't count because of this, that, or the other. And every one of those, genetic drift and what was the other one? I can't remember all of their arguments, but pretty much every one of them have been pretty thoroughly debunked. But that doesn't stop people from believing. Never let scientific evidence get in the way of a good faith. That one I at least lets me feel good that someone looked into it. And, it's been looked into quite a bit. They even, compared, dog bones, that all these dogs came from Asia and stuff. I mean, it was just everything. They looked at female genetic lines, male genetic lines, like everything you could possibly look at. Yeah, they're from Asia. Oh, one other thing I found out as I was doing some research, this isn't their only book. I think there's something like 4 books that make up the, Mormon canon. So yeah, when we're done this, I think I automatically have a couple more podcasts to do unless somebody beats me to it, to read the rest of them. It's a problem I'll deal with very far off because we've got a long way to go with this one. All right. So, last time we covered the introduction books, I guess, and now we're going to jump right into the first book of Nephi. All right. Here we go. So it starts with a little intro page about it, describes, what's going to happen, and then, details on it. It's interesting. One last thing before I start reading. A little bit of an apology. So when I was listening back to the first episode, for some reason I have a problem pronouncing the word kindred. I kept calling it kidred or I don't even know, but it was wrong. So I apologize. If the word kindred comes up again, I will try and pronounce that more accurately, maybe talk a little slower. Okay, so here we go. The first book of Nephi, his reign and ministry. An account of Lehi and his wife Sariah, and his 4 sons being called, beginning at the eldest, Laman, Lamuel, Sam, and Nephi. Well, at least I had a Sam in there, right? There's a normal name. The Lord warns Lehi to depart out of the land of Jerusalem, because he prophesieth unto the people concerning their iniquity, and they seek to destroy his life. He taketh 3 days' journey into the wilderness with his family. Okay. Nephi taketh his brethren, and returneth to the land of Jerusalem after the record of the Jews, the account of their suffering. They take the daughters of Ishmael to wife. They take their families and depart into the wilderness, their sufferings and afflictions in the wilderness, the course of their travels. It's kind of like just bullets of what's going to happen in this chapter. So, okay. The course of their travels. They come to the large waters. Nephi's brethren rebel against him. He confoundeth them, and buildeth a ship. They call the name of the place Bountiful. They cross the large waters into the promised land, and so forth. This is according to the account of Nephi, or in other words, I, Nephi, wrote this record. All right. Chapter 1. Nephi begins with the record of his people. Lehi sees in vision a pillar of fire, and reads from a book of prophecy. He praises God, foretells the coming of the Messiah, and prophesies the destruction of Jerusalem. He is persecuted by the Jews, about 600 B.C. So, that was weird, because it says, I, Nephi, wrote this record. And the very next thing says, Nephi begins the record of his people. So, who's writing this? Come on. It looks like it now jumps into the first person. So here we go. Oh, you know what that was? I apologize, everyone. I remember there was a little, instruction guide on how to read the Book of Mormon in our previous episode. And it did say, if you ever see italicized writing, then that's not actually part of the Book of Mormon. That's just like someone's commentary. So what I just read about Nephi begins a record of his people, Lehi sees a vision, that was in italics. I will try to make it a point to always mention when we're reading italics and when we're actually reading the Word of God. So, chapter 1 and now verse 1. I, Nephi, having been born of goodly parents, therefore I was taught somewhat in all the learnings of my father, and having seen many afflictions in the course of my days, nevertheless, having been highly favored of the Lord in all my days, yea, having had a great knowledge of the goodness and the mysteries of God, therefore I make a record of my proceedings in my days. I guess it just said, I was lucky because God liked me. So, all right. I'm glad that you're confident in that, Nephi. Yea, I make a record in the language of my father, which consists of the learning of the Jews and the language of the Egyptians. Okay, so does that mean his dad was Egyptian or Jewish? Or maybe he was a Jew in Egypt? I don't know, we'll see. And I know that the record which I make is true, and I make it with my own hand, and I make it according to my knowledge. All right, well, hopefully he has some evidence to back up those statements that he knows that the record is true. For it came to pass in the commencement of the first year of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, my father Lehi, having dwelt at Jerusalem all his days. Wait a minute. I thought why did he speak the language of the Egyptians if he lived in Jerusalem all his days? Well, I don't know. Maybe they'll clear that up later. And in the same year there came many prophets, prophesying unto the people that they must repent, or the great city Jerusalem must be destroyed. Wherefore it came to pass that my father Lehi, as he went forth, prayed unto the Lord, yea, even with all his heart, in belief of his people. And it came to pass, as he prayed unto the Lord, there came a pillar of fire, and dwelt upon a rock before him, and he saw and heard much. And because of the things which he saw and heard, he did quake and tremble exceedingly. Okay, so I'll tell you, this isn't that crazy, because, we had pillars of fire in the Bible, we had burning bushes. God seems to like fire as a communication method for some reason. But yeah, so fire came down and sat on a rock and had a chat with Lehi, Nephi's dad. All right. And it came to pass, and he returned to his own house at Jerusalem, and he cast himself upon his bed, being overcome with the Spirit and the things which he had seen. And being thus overcome with the Spirit, he was carried away in a vision, even that he saw the heavens open, and he thought he saw God sitting upon a throne, surrounded with numberless concourses of angels in the attitude of singing and praising their God. So this was a dream? Yeah, it was a vision. All right, so he had a dream about heaven. Probably the first person in history for that to happen, right? And it came to pass that he saw one descending out of the midst of heaven, and he beheld that his luster was above that of the sun at noonday. They love that one. Brighter than the sun at noonday. That was also Moroni fit that description when he came down to visit Joseph Smith. And he also saw 12 others following him, and their brightness did exceed that of the star in the firmament. It was a firmament. I don't know. But really, to say, hey, you're brighter than a star in the sky, that's not that bright, is it? I mean, not really. I mean, you'd have to travel light years to make it really bright. Whatever. I'm going down a rabbit hole. Coming out. And they came down and went forth upon the face of the earth. And the first came and stood before my father, and gave unto him a book, and bade him that he should read. And it came to pass that as he read, he was filled with the Spirit of the Lord. All right, so this is a vision. So he's not actually reading this like in real life, right? This is all just a dream he dreamt that God gave him a book and he's reading it, I guess. And he read, saying, Woe, woe unto Jerusalem, for I have seen thine abominations. Yea, and many things did my father read concerning Jerusalem, that it should be destroyed, and that the inhabitants thereof, many should perish by the sword, and many should be carried away captive into Babylon. Yeah. And it came to pass that when my father had read and seen many great and marvelous things, he did exclaim many things unto the Lord, such as, Great and marvelous are thy works, O Lord God Almighty. Thy throne is high in the heavens, and thy power and goodness and mercy are over all the inhabitants of the earth. And because thou art merciful, thou wilt not suffer those who come unto thee that they shall perish. Yeah, that's pretty common. It still happens today. Whenever you're going to ask God for a favor, you have to start by, you got to butter him up a little, right? So you start with, you know what, God, you're just amazing. You're awesome. You're just my favorite. And, okay, now that we got that out of the way, you're feeling good about yourself. Could you do this thing for me? Could you do that? So that's how that went. And after this manner was the language of my father and the praising of his God, for his soul did rejoice, and his whole heart was filled, because of the things which he had seen, yea, which the Lord had shown unto him. And now I, Nephi, do not make a full account of the things which my father hath written, for he hath written many things which he saw in his visions and his dreams, and he also hath written many things which he prophesied and spake unto his children, of which I shall not make a full account. Okay. Well, all right. So basically what we're about to read, Lehi had more to say than this, but apparently Nephi didn't write it down, so it's lost to history. But I shall make an account of my proceedings in my days. Behold, I make an abridgment of the record of my father upon plates which I have made with mine own hands. Wherefore, after I have abridged the record of my father, then I will make an account of mine own life. So, real quick, so we have Lehi having these crazy dreams, right? You might argue if he really had that many, he might have had some psychological problems. But regardless, I love that Nephi, writing this, said, where was it? That he knows that this is true, right? Here it is, in verse 3. And I know that the record which I make is true. And you're like, you don't know that. You know that your dad told you it was. That's hearsay, not exactly truth. So that I think, I don't know, I find that kind of funny, the way that they proclaim truth and then say, oh, and this dude that's not writing this had a dream and he told me about it. It's like, okay. Yes, because everyone remembers their dreams very vividly, right? Okay, back into the book. Therefore, I would that ye should know that after the Lord had shown so many marvelous things unto my father Lehi, yea, concerning the destruction of Jerusalem. I love that. So many marvelous things concerning the destruction of Jerusalem. I don't know why that would be a marvelous thing. Behold, he went forth among the people, and began to prophesy and to declare unto them concerning the things which he had both seen and heard. No. You didn't see or hear anything, Lehi. You dreamt it. There is a substantial difference there. Anyway, it came to pass that the Jews did mock him because of the things which he testified of them. For he truly testified of their wickedness and their abominations, and he testified that the things which he saw and heard, dreamed, and also the things which he read in the book, manifested plainly of the coming of the Messiah, and also the redemption of the world. You didn't read it in a book. You dreamt that you read it in a book. Again, big difference. Anyway, and when the Jews heard these things, they were angry with him. Yea, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting myself a lot this reading, but I love these yays. It makes it so much more fun to read, right? You're just like in the middle of a sentence. Yay. Anyway, I hope they keep doing it. I'm enjoying this way of reading. Yay, I enjoy it. Okay, and when the Jews heard the things, they were angry with him. Yea, even as with the prophets of old, whom they had cast out and stoned and slain. A pretty rough crowd. And they also sought his life, that they might take it away. But behold, I, Nephi, will show unto you that the tender mercies of the Lord are all over those whom he hath chosen, because of their faith, to make them mighty, even unto the power of deliverance. All right, that was chapter 1. So I guess we will start chapter 2. And again, it starts with italics. So this is, we're moving away from the words of God, and now we're just, this is someone's commentary. So we'll read it because it's in the book. It's just not really in the book. All right. Lehi takes his family into the wilderness by the Red Sea. They leave their property. Lehi offers a sacrifice to the Lord and teaches his sons to keep the commandments. Laman and Lemuel murmur against their father. Nephi is obedient and prays in faith, and the Lord speaks to him, and he is chosen to rule over his brethren about 600 BC. Why do they do that? I don't know if I want to read those anymore. I mean, technically, we're just going to read the Book of Mormon, right? Then we could skip these italicized things, but it's kind of like next time on, right? I don't want to know. I enjoy reading it and being shocked and surprised. And this is just, it's spoilers. They're giving us spoilers before we start reading. I don't like it. I think I'm going to stop doing it. All right, chapter 2, verse 1. For behold, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto my father, yea, even in a dream. Well, okay, at least Nehi's getting it. It was in a dream. And he said unto him, Blessed art thou, Lehi, because of the things which thou hast done. And because thou hast been faithful and declared unto this people the things which I commanded thee, behold, they seek to take away thy life. And it came to pass that the Lord commanded my father, even in a dream, that he should take his family and depart into the wilderness. Again, that time, that wasn't me interjecting in a dream. Like, Nephi's actually calling it out. Like, the Lord spoke to my father. Well, he dreamt that he spoke to him. Like, it's nice that he's recognizing the distinction. And it came to pass that he was obedient unto the word of the Lord. Wherefore he did as the Lord commanded him. And it came to pass that he departed into the wilderness, and he left his house, and the land of his inheritance, and his gold, and his silver, and his precious things, and took nothing with him, save it were his family, his provisions, and tents, and departed into the wilderness. So he left behind everything, and all he took was his family, some stuff to eat while they're on the road, and some tents. I should do it. What else do you need? This sounds like rational behavior. I don't know that they were leaving because the Lord commanded them to, so much as Lehi was going around telling all of the Jews that they were an abomination and were going to be destroyed, and they were like, yeah, we're going to stone you now. So I think that might have been more of a motivating factor to go off, leave everything behind and get the heck out of Dodge. But no, that can't be. It's because he dreamed that God told him, yes, you must depart. And he came down by the borders near the shore of the Red Sea. And he traveled in the wilderness in the borders which are nearer the Red Sea. Okay. And he did travel in the wilderness with his family, which they consisted of my mother Sariah, my elder brothers, who were Laman, Lemuel, and good old Sam. I wonder what happens to Sam. Like Laman, I assume, is eventually what the Lamanites become, right? Lemuel and Sam, I don't know if they're going to make it. And it came to pass that when he traveled 3 days in the wilderness, he pitched his tent in a valley by the side of a river of water. 3 days' time. I mean, Moses had to do it for 40 years. I'm just saying. He 3 days doesn't seem like much. And it came to pass that he built an altar of stones and made an offering unto the Lord and gave thanks unto the Lord our God. That was a nice way of saying they slaughtered an animal and burned it. That's really what that means when you build an altar and give an offering unto the Lord. And it came to pass that he called the name of the river Laman. Named a river after his son. What a nice dad. And it emptied into the Red Sea, and the valley was in the borders near the mouth thereof. And when my father saw that the waters of the river emptied into the fountains of the Red Sea, he spake unto Laman, saying, Oh, that thou mightest be like unto this river, continually running into the fountain of all righteousness. Whoa. So he basically said to his son, I wish you were as cool as this river. I wish you were strong as this river, and that your righteousness would just flow out into a bigger sea. That's kind of at first it sounded nice. Like, oh, this nice river. I'm going to name it after my son. And you want to know why? Because I wish you were more like this river, son. Get your act together. That's passive aggressive right there. And he also spake unto Lemuel, Oh, that thou mightest be like unto this valley, firm and steadfast, and immovable in the keeping of the commandments of the Lord. Wow. So he's doing it to Lemuel too. So Lemuel, I don't know if he named the valley Lemuel, doesn't say. But he just looked at Lemuel and said, I wish you were more like this valley, because it doesn't move. And I want your faith to be unmovable. Loser. Great. Now he spake because of the stiff-neckedness of Laman and Lemuel. No, stiff-neckedness. That is just a bad trait. For behold, they did murmur in many things against their father, because he was a visionary man, and he had led them out of the land of Jerusalem, to leave the land of their inheritance, and their gold, and their silver, and their precious things, to perish in the wilderness. And this, they said, he had done because of the foolish imaginations of his heart. Yeah, so we do have two rational people. Their names are Laman and Lemuel. And, they basically said, so you were out there telling all of our friends and neighbors that they were abominations because you're having crazy dreams at night. That's, Dad, seriously, what? And then, okay, we have to leave everything that your entire lives, let's leave it behind because now they all want to kill us. It's like, seriously, Dad, you're a loser. Why are you doing this to us? And now the dad's like throwing these like side insults at them because they didn't have faith in his dream ability. Sorry, guy. I feel bad. I do feel bad for these two. That sounds like they're just trying to be rational, and instead they're getting crapped on by their crazy dad. Sad. Okay. Neither did they believe that Jerusalem, that great city, could be destroyed according to the words of the prophets. And they were like unto the Jews who were at Jerusalem, who sought to take away the life of my father. Whoa, now they're really taking things in their own hands. So now they're like, okay, we gotta ice this dude. I think their plan probably is, let's just carry his head back to Jerusalem and be like, hey, are we cool? We got the guy, right? He was our dad, but he's crazy and now he's gone. Okay, let's see how this works out. And it came to pass that my father did speak unto them in the valley of Lemuel with power. Oh, so he did name the valley Lemuel and then insulted his son because he wasn't valley-like. All right, sorry. He did speak to them in the valley of Lemuel with power, being filled with the Spirit, until their frames did shake before them. And he did confound them, that they durst not utter against him. Wherefore they did as he commanded them. Oh, man, Lehi's got a good voice. Apparently he shouted so loud it literally shook their bodies. That's impressive. That is some serious resonance he's got. Verse 15 is fantastic. You're going to love it. And my father dwelt in a tent. That's it. That's all we got. Thanks for that detail. Where else would he have dwelt? You're wandering around in the wilderness? Maybe a cave? I don't know. It was just the most random insert. Father dwelt in a tent. 16. And it came to pass that I, Nephi, being exceedingly young, nevertheless being large in stature, and also having great desires to know the mysteries of God, wherefore I did cry unto the Lord, and behold, he did visit me, and did soften my heart, that I did believe all the words which had been spoken by my father. Wherefore I did not rebel against him unto my brothers. Wasn't like those two losers. Anyway, the beginning of this is great. It sounds like an online dating site profile, right? Exceedingly young, large in stature, having great desires to know the mysteries of God, and long walks on the beach. And I spake unto Sam. Oh, Sam's here. Yeah, I wonder where he's been. I spake unto Sam, making known unto him the things which the Lord had manifested unto me by his Holy Spirit. And it came to pass that he believed my words. Okay, so now we got a little family rivalry going. You got Lehi and Sam on one side, and the dad, right? And then you got Lemuel and what's the other one? Laman on the other, saying you guys are all crazy. And then no surprise, the women don't have a voice. They don't get an opinion in this, so they're just along for the ride. Okay, but behold, Laman and Lemuel would not hearken unto my words, and being grieved because of the hardness of their hearts, I cried unto the Lord for them. Well, I'm confused because before it said like after they got shouted and shook, they were like confounded and they didn't utter again. Yeah, I don't know. It sounded like the shouting thing worked, but now it's saying that they're not anymore. They're still stiff-necked, right? Okay. And it came to pass that the Lord spake unto me, saying, Blessed art thou, Nephi, because of thy faith, for thou hast sought me diligently with lowliness of heart. Okay, so God actually talked to him. I think it's the first time that's happened in this book, where God himself started talking to a person. So, good for you, Nephi. You get some high status in the spiritual world there. Because up until now, it's just been dreams. Even Joseph Smith, I don't think, talked to God. He talked to that hot ghost that he was checking out. But I don't think, so good for Nephi. Direct communication from the big man. All right. And in so much as ye shall keep my commandments, ye shall prosper, and shall be led to the land of promise. I think this is God still talking to Nephi. I think he's getting quite a dissertation here. Yea, even a land which I have prepared for you. Yea, a land which is choice above all other lands. I think he's referring to good old USA. Yeah, we're choice above all other lands. Yes. And inasmuch as thy brethren shall rebel against thee, they shall be cut off from the presence of the Lord. And insomuch as thou shalt keep my commandments, thou shalt be made a ruler and teacher over thy brethren. For behold, in that day they shall rebel against me. I will curse them, even with a sore curse. A sore curse? Is this just like a good curse? Anyway, even with a sore curse. And they shall have no power over thy seed, except they shall rebel against me also. So basically, even if they try to get them not to, their kids or their descendants are going to continue to rebel against God. All right. And if it so be that they rebel against me, they shall be a scourge unto thy seed, to stir them up in ways of remembrance. So this is all very interesting. The curious thing here is that we've already learned in our last episode that the Lamanites are the only tribe that survives, right? And they are the Native Americans, the descendants of the Lamanites, which we know is not scientifically accurate, but hey, don't let truth get in the way of a good story. So, but it sounds like here, Nephi's the one that's like the faithful, and Laman, who I assume is what Lamanite comes from, hopefully we find out, he was the one that was like, nah, this is all BS. So curious that over time, God, he says he's cursing the Lamanites and blessing the Nephites, but it doesn't seem to pan out that way. So, curious. Hopefully we'll find out. All right, now we have chapter 3, starting with some italics, but guess what? I'm not going to read them. I don't want the spoiler. And you know what? I'm really not interested in the words of some silly man. I want the word of God. All right. Chapter 3, verse 1. And it came to pass that I, Nephi, returned from speaking with the Lord to the tent of my father. And I suppose his chest's out pretty high right now, saying, you're never going to believe who I was just talking to, Dad. And it came to pass that he spake unto me, saying, Behold, I have dreamed a dream, in which the Lord hath commanded me that thou and thy brethren shall return to Jerusalem. Now, if I'm Nephi at this point, I'm looking at my dad saying, yeah, so you had a dream that God talked to you. Yeah, he actually talked to me. So I'm just going to say that whatever he told me probably trumps your dream. But let's see. Let's see if he believes that. For behold, Laban. Okay, we don't know who Laban is. This is a new character, not to be confused with all the other L's. So this isn't Laman, this is Laban. All right. So for behold, Laban hath the records of the Jews, and also a genealogy of my forefathers, and they are engraven upon plates of brass. Well, plates of brass. Come on. You got to upgrade that. You got some gold plates now. Wherefore the Lord hath commanded me that thou and thy brothers should go unto the house of Laban, and seek the records, and bring them down hither into the wilderness. Which is basically like, hey, we left our stuff behind. I forgot to pick up, my important papers, right? I don't have my Social Security card, passport, birth certificate. You should run up there and grab that stuff. Not really. What was it? His genealogy and something else. And a record of the Jews. Oh, okay. That's fair. All right. Verse 5. And now, behold, my brothers murmur, saying, it is a hard thing which I have required of them. But behold, I have not required it of them, but it is a commandment of the Lord. So he's like, hey guys, go to Jerusalem and pick this stuff up. And they're like, dude, everybody there wants to kill us. That's crazy. And he's like, well, no, I'm not asking you to. God is ordering you to. So there you go. Can't argue with that. Therefore go, my son, for thou shalt be favored of the Lord, because thou hast not murmured. Well, they did just murmur. But chapter 5 said, behold, thy brothers murmur. And chapter 6 is like, God's going to protect you because you didn't murmur. Well, one verse to the next, contradiction. And it came to pass that I, Nephi, said unto my father, I will go and do the things which the Lord hath commanded. For I know that the Lord giveth no commandments unto thy children of men, save he shall prepare a way for them, that they may accomplish the thing which he hath commanded them. Yeah, that doesn't sound right. So basically, if God commands you to do something, he's going to find a way to make it happen for you, I guess. Which, I guess if you believe in an omnipotent God, you would think that, right? You would think he could do anything. So there is all right, well, if he can do it, if he can make it happen, I mean, why doesn't he just, pick up the plates himself and drop them up in front of Lehi and say, here you go, here's his plates. You don't have to go and risk your son's lives, But anyway, get out of the rabbit hole. All right. And it came to pass that when my father had heard these words, he was exceedingly glad, for he knew that I had been blessed of the Lord. I don't know how he knew. And I, Nephi, and my brethren took our journey in the wilderness with our tents to go up to the land of Jerusalem. And it came to pass that when we had gone up to the land of Jerusalem, I and my brethren did consult one with another. And we cast lots. Playing a little craps here. Who of us should go into the house of Laban? And it came to pass that the lot fell upon Laman. Yeah, that won't be confusing. Laman drew the short straw to go visit Laban. Ugh. And Laman went into the house of Laban, and he talked with him, and he sat in his house. Man, I hope this doesn't become a tongue twister between these two. I'm really going to try to pronounce this B, because I can read it, so I can tell the difference, but I want to make sure that you guys know which one we're talking about. All right, so Laman is in Laban's house. And he desired of Laban the records which were engraven upon the plates of grass, which contain the genealogy of my father. And behold, it came to pass that Laban was angry, and thrust him out from his presence. And he would not that he should have the records. Wherefore he said unto him, Behold, thou art a robber, and I will slay thee. Well, he's like, hey, can you give me those plates that belong to my dad? And he's like, I'm going to murder you for asking. Laban is not a nice guy. But Laman fled out of his presence, and told the things which Laban had done unto us. And we began to be exceedingly sorrowful. Ooh. And my brethren were about to return unto my father in the wilderness. But behold, I said unto them that, as the Lord liveth, and as we live, we will not go down unto our fathers in the wilderness until we have accomplished the thing which the Lord had commanded us. Yeah, he's like, where do you think you're going? We weren't asked to do this. We were commanded by God. We're going to get those plates. Where do you think you're going? For he knew that Jerusalem must be destroyed because of the wickedness of the people. Oh, so there it is. Because Laban was an a-hole. Jerusalem's doomed. For behold, they have rejected the words of the prophets. Wherefore, if my father should dwell in the land after he hath been commanded to flee out of the land, behold, he would also perish. Wherefore, it must needs be that he flee out of the land. It must needs be. Sometimes these words are weird. He's basically just saying, like, listen, if our dad hadn't been listening to God, he wouldn't have said what he said and ran in the wilderness. So yeah, God. There's proof, just God. Okay. And behold, it is wisdom in God that we should obtain these records, and that we may preserve unto our children the language of our fathers. You need these, seriously, they need the plates in order to keep their language? Huh. I think you could probably do that with just oral tradition, but okay. And also that we may preserve unto them the words which have been spoken by the mouth of all the holy prophets, which have been delivered unto them by the Spirit and power of God, since the words began, even down unto this present time. All right, so I guess it's more than just a genealogy that's on these plates. There's also like a bunch of prophets, holy prophets, and their dreams or whatever. Okay. And it came to pass that after this manner of language did I persuade my brethren that they might be faithful in keeping the commandments of God. Man, you've got some gullible brothers, because that didn't sell me at all. And it came to pass that when we went down to the land of our inheritance, and we did gather together our gold and our silver and our precious things, and after we had gathered these things together, we went up again to the house of Laban. All right, so this time they saw the writing on the wall. They're like, I think we need to grease his palm. A little bribe here. Then we'll get those plates. And it came to pass, we went in unto Laban, and desired him that he would give unto us the records which were engraven upon the plates of brass, for which he would give unto him our gold and our silver and our precious things. So it's not really a bribe. They're actually just like, hey, sorry, we came in here and asked if you would give it to us. You said no. And in fact, I think I'm going to murder you for asking. But now we're here with a bunch of, we got some money, and we'll pay you for it. Come on. It's also interesting that before they had to cast lots to decide who would go and talk to Laban. And Laban's like, well, I'm going to kill you because I don't like you. And now they're like, oh, let's all go in there. This is good. It's all. Let's just, no more lot. Why'd you draw lots in the first place? All right. And it came to pass when Laban saw our property, and that it was exceedingly great, he did lust after it, insomuch that he thrust us out, and he sent his servants to slay us, that he might obtain our property. Backfire. That's great. Hey, Laban, listen, sorry. Can we pay you for these plates? We got a ton of money. I mean, there's just big piles of gold here. And Laban's like, better idea. How about I slit your throats and take your money? Yeah, that works for me. That's awesome. And it came to pass that we did flee before the servants of Laban, and we were obliged to leave behind our property, and it fell into the hands of Laban. Man, Laban, things are working out for you. Not bad. So, I mean, he didn't get to kill him, but who cares? They're broke now because he stole all their money. And it came to pass that we fled into the wilderness, and the servants of Laban did not overtake us, and we hid ourselves in the cavity of a rock. So we're hiding in a cave. I'm going to say that next time I, see a cave. I'll be like, look at the cavity of that rock. I like that. That's a prettier way of saying cave. And it came to pass that Laman was angry with me, and also with my father, and also was Lemuel, for he hearkened unto the words of Laman. I think it's a fancy way of saying he heard what Laman said. Wherefore Laman and Lemuel did speak many harsh words unto us, their younger brothers, and they did smite us even with a rod. So, okay. So pretty much, the dad and the youngest son said like, oh, God's telling us you got to get these plates, so go get them. And they were like, well, that's a bad idea. People want to kill us. And they're like, well, God, so, and so they're like, all right, fine, forgot about God. All right, so then they go, and twice their lives are threatened, right? We can kill you. And they also lose all their money in the process. So they're like, take everything they have and like, please just exchange these for the plates. And they're like, yeah, no. So I'm not shocked that there are some people disappointed in this. So, the two older brothers who were against this from the start just decided to beat the crap out of this, Nephi. They're just like, we've had enough. And they just beat him up and they said many, many mean things, many harsh words. And it came to pass, as they smote us with a rod, behold, an angel of the Lord came and stood before them. And he spake unto them, saying, Why do ye smite your younger brother with a rod? Know ye not that the Lord hath chosen him to be the ruler over you, and this because of your iniquities? Behold, ye shall go up unto Jerusalem again, and the Lord will deliver Laban into your hands. Okay, that happened. An angel came down. Yeah, I wonder which one. I don't know. I'm just going to move past that. You have to allow for this stuff, right? You have to allow for just like God speaking to someone randomly or an angel coming down. I mean, if you try and scratch your head every time this happens, you'll never get through the book. So we're just going to say, all right, great. Angel came down, looked at these two and said, quit beating those guys with sticks because, even though you hate his guts, God wants him to rule over you. So, sorry, God. Okay. And then also, and by the way, get your butts back to Jerusalem and get those plates. It was not, that commandment didn't expire. Come on, let's go. All right. And after the angel had departed, Laman and Lemuel again began to murmur, saying, and by the way, murmur means like talk smack, right? It's just like, that's what that means. You guys probably figured that out. So yes, thank you, Captain Obvious, David. And after the angel departed, Laman and Lemuel again began to murmur, saying, How is it possible that the Lord will deliver Laban into our hands? Behold, he is a mighty man, and he can command 50, yea, even slay 50. Then why not us? So he's got the power to take out like an army of 50 people, and there's 3 of us. And oh, that's right, he has all our money, so we can probably hire more. Anyway, so I was in chapter 3, so let's just keep right on moving and start chapter 4. All right, so skipping the spoilers, not reading the italicized text at the top. Although this one is pretty short, but again, I don't want to know. I don't want the spoiler, so I'm just going to start reading. All right, so it came to pass that I spake unto my brethren, saying, Let us go up again into Jerusalem, and let us be faithful in keeping the commandments of the Lord. For behold, he is mightier than all the earth. Then why not mightier than Laban and his 50? Yea, or even than his tens of thousands. Well, okay, so he's saying, what are you afraid of? Okay, he's got 50 people, big deal. Even if he had tens of thousands, Lord's stronger, so come on. God's on our side, right? Therefore let us go up, let us be strong like unto Moses, for he truly spake unto the waters of the Red Sea, and they divided hither and thither. And our fathers came through, out of captivity, on dry ground, and the enemies of Pharaoh did follow, and were drowned in the waters of the Red Sea. So, it's like, he did that, right? Because they were there, surely. I assume they weren't. So he's just basically saying, look, we've heard stories that God is pretty powerful, so, come on, one guy, sure, 50 people, okay, no big deal. Now behold, ye know that this is true, and ye also know that an angel hath spoken unto you, wherefore can you doubt? Let us go up, the Lord is able to deliver us, even as our fathers, and to destroy Laban,
even as the Egyptians. Okay, again, same argument. Now when I had spoken these words, they were yet wroth, and did continue to murmur. Nevertheless, they did follow me up until we came without the walls of Jerusalem. So they were pissed off about it. They're like, this is BS. And they just kept murmuring, just talking just mad. But, they did follow. So they weren't happy about it, but they came along. So now they're at Jerusalem. And it was by night, and I caused that they should hide themselves without the walls. Hide themselves without the walls. I guess that means outside of the walls, I guess. And after they had hid themselves, I, Nephi, crept into the city and went forth towards the house of Laban. This is fantastic. So they went, I told them to hide, and then I, Nephi, snuck in. I myself, the blessed one. And I was led by the Spirit, not knowing beforehand the things which I should do. Well, this is a good plan. So he's just sneaking into the city saying, I don't know what to do next. I'm allowing myself to be possessed by some spirit, and he's going to make all the calls. That sounds reasonable. Nevertheless, I went forth, and as I came near unto the house of Laban, I beheld a man, for he had fallen to the earth before me, for he was drunken with wine. And when I came to him, I found that it was Laban. Well, that's a nice coincidence, right? So you snuck in, you're going to figure out how to rob this Laban guy, and then you just stumble across this drunken body in the street, and it turns out it's Laban. So, good fortune. And I beheld his sword, and I drew it forth from the sheath thereof, and the hilt thereof was of pure gold, and the workmanship thereof was exceedingly fine. And I saw that the blade thereof was the most precious steel. So, okay, he's stealing the guy's sword, and it sounds like a pretty badass sword. And it came to pass that I was constrained by the Spirit that I should kill Laban. So I guess he's saying the Spirit told him not to kill Laban. But I said in my heart, never at any time I have shed the blood of man. And I shrunk, and that I would not slay him. And the Spirit said unto me again, Behold, the Lord hath delivered him into thy hands. Yea, and I also knew that he had sought to take away mine own life. Yea, and he would not hearken unto the commandments of the Lord. And he also had taken away our property. I think what it's saying is that the Spirit wants him to kill Laban, and he doesn't want to. I think I misinterpreted that before. And it came to pass that the Spirit said unto me again, Slay him. Okay, yeah, got it right now. The Spirit is definitely saying, kill him. You've got his awesome gold sword, now just run him through. Slay him, for the Lord hath delivered him into thy hands. Behold, the Lord saith the wicked to bring forth his righteous purposes. It is better that one man should perish than a nation should dwindle and perish in unbelief. Right, so this is saying that Laban, being a bad guy, is actually going to cause God to destroy their whole nation. That adds up. It's just his rules. If you got a bad apple, you got to throw out the bunch. So God's saying, listen, you got a chance here to get rid of that bad apple. Don't make me, just make them all perish. That would be, I don't want to do that, but I can't change the rules. They're there for a reason. All right, so hopefully Nephi grows a pair and just takes this guy out. And now, when I, Nephi, had heard these words, I remembered the words of the Lord which he spake unto me in the wilderness, saying that, insomuch as thy seed shall keep my commandments, they shall prosper in the land of promise. This is great. He's basically, trying to justify murder. So I'm pretty sure, I haven't read ahead, but it sounds like this is leading up to Nephi killing Laban with his own sword. And so he's kind of preemptively building up his defense, right? Like, well, I really didn't want to. I mean, I'm not a violent person. I've never killed anyone before. But God, he really didn't give me a choice. He really wants me to do this, and I have to follow his commandments. I would like to see that in a court of law. I didn't want to murder him, but God, sorry, he said so. All right. And also I knew that the law was engraved upon the plates of brass. There's laws there now. These plates of brass, which earlier I think I accidentally was reading fast and might have called them plates of grass. Hopefully you guys didn't notice that, but if you did, so sorry. I noticed it as I was reading, but I was like, just keep going. Anyway, so these plates of brass, these are not to be confused with the plates of gold that Joseph Smith found, and well, I guess it was in an earlier chapter, but it's way in the future of this timeline-wise. But these plates of brass, at first it was like, yeah, it just has Lehi's, genealogy on it. But then it was like, yeah, but it also has the history of the Jewish people. And now apparently it also has their laws. So these are pretty important plates. I can understand now why Laban wasn't just like, oh, you want those? Okay, here. It would be like saying, hey, could we have the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights? Like, I mean, just if you could just, we'd like to have them. I can see why the people protecting those documents might be a little loath to just hand them out. So once again, yeah, I'm siding with the bad guys, I think, because I feel for this Laban guy. Like, why do these people want him? They're basically trying to steal their history in law. Anyway. Okay, so moving on. And again, I knew that the Lord had delivered Laban into my hands for this cause, that I might obtain the records according to his commandments. Therefore I did obey the voice of the Spirit, and took Laban by the hair of the head, and smote off his head with his own sword. Well, if you're gonna go all in, I guess. Yeah. So he said, I gotta do what God says. I'm supposed to murder this guy, so I'm going to lop his head off with his own sword. Well, no danger of Laban living through that one, I don't think. And after I had smitten off his head with his own sword, smitten off his head, that is the most polite way I've ever heard someone describe a beheading. I smitten off his head with his own sword. I took the garments of Laban, and put them upon mine own body, yea, with every whit, and I did gird his armor about my loins. After I had done this, I went forth into the treasury of Laban. And as I went forth towards the treasury of Laban, behold, I saw a servant of Laban, who had the keys of the treasury. And I commanded him in the voice of Laban, that he should go with me into the treasury. So, apparently he's a great, Nephi, we're learning more about him. He's a great impersonator, apparently, because, he can sound like Laban, put on his clothes and armor, and, maybe this servant was either an idiot, or perhaps some type of visual impairment, that he was like, well, you're a completely different face, but yeah, but you're wearing his clothes, and you've done a trick with your voice, so sure, let me just open up the treasury for you. All right, and he supposed me to be his master Laban, for he beheld the garments, and also the sword girded about my loins. And he spake unto me concerning the elders of the Jews, he knowing that his master Laban had been out by night among them. And I spake unto him as if I had been Laban. And I also spake unto him that I should carry the engravings which were upon the plates of brass to my elder brethren who were within the walls. Who were without the walls, which again I think means outside of the walls. And I also bade him that he should follow me. And he, supposing that I spoke of the brethren of the church, and that I was truly the Laban whom I had slain, wherefore he did follow me. So this is, he's lying, So Nephi is flat out lying to this servant of Laban. This is a total con in order to steal. So this is a long con, but it's a con. All right. And he spake unto me many times concerning the elders of the Jews, and I went forth unto my brethren who were without the walls. And it came to pass that when Laman, and this is the older brother, the one stiff-necked brother, and it came to pass that when Laman saw me, he was exceedingly frightened, and also Lemuel and Sam. They had fled from before my presence, for they supposed it was Laban. Oh my God, they don't even know their own brother. And that he had slain me, and had sought to take away their lives also. Wow, Nephi is a master impersonator, because he's even fooling his own brothers that he's a different guy. That's pretty impressive. Maybe the armor contained like a helmet with a visor. Maybe that's what's going on, I don't know that existed in the Bronze Age or whenever this was written. I mean, it's plates of bronze, so they're kind of spelling that out. But I thought the whole helmets with face thing was like a knight thing that happened later. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just look the same. Didn't say they did, but or Nephi is just a really good impersonator. So anyway, here we go. And it came to pass that I called after them, and they did hear me. Wherefore they did cease to flee from my presence. And it came to pass that when the servant of Laban beheld my brethren, he began to tremble, and was about to flee from before me, and return to the city of Jerusalem. So Nephi's like, hey guys, it's me, it's not, come on. And they're like, oh, sorry, we couldn't tell. And now the servant's like, oh crap, you're not Laban? I'm in a bit of trouble. And now I, Nephi, being a man large in stature, and also having received much strength from the Lord. There it is with that online profile again. I'm large in stature, and lots of strength from the Lord, ladies. Therefore I did seize upon the servant of Laban, and held him, that he should not flee. All right, holding him down. And it came to pass that I spake with him, that if he would hearken unto my words, as the Lord liveth, and as I live, even so, that if he would hearken unto our words, we would spare his life. All right, so just listen. I have to just listen, and you won't die. Well, that's fair trade. And I spake unto him, even with an oath, that he need not fear, that he should be a free man, like unto us, if he would go down into the wilderness with us. Oh, well, that's fair. So first it was like, just listen to me, and I'll let you live. He's like, okay, I'll listen. Okay, here's the deal. You have to leave everything behind and come into the wilderness with us, or you're going to have to die. It's like, wait. That's a little bit more than just listening. Anyway, and I also spake unto him, saying, surely the Lord hath commanded us to do this thing, and shall we not be diligent in keeping the commandments of the Lord? Therefore, if thou wilt go down into the wilderness to my father, thou shalt have place with us. And it came to pass that Zoram, okay, I guess we're giving this servant a name now. He now has a name, Zoram. Zoram did take courage at the words which I spake. Now, Zoram was the name of the servant. Well, we figured that out, but thank you more. That's great. It's like, just for the record, we already said Zoram. That's the name of the servant. It's like, I'm pretty sure I figured that out. And he promised that he would go down into the wilderness unto our father. Yea, he also made an oath unto us that he would tarry with us from that time forth. Now we were desirous that he should tarry with us for this cause, that the Jews might not know concerning our flight into the wilderness, lest they should pursue us and destroy us. So yeah, you just robbed them. Imagine that. You're worried that they might come after you. And it came to pass that when Zoram had made an oath unto us, our fears did cease concerning him. And it came to pass that we took the plates of brass and the servant of Laban, just the one, just Zoram, and departed into the wilderness and journeyed unto the tent of our father. So that was a quick chapter. It's in chapter 4. So I like Zoram. So far, that's my favorite name, Zoram. It's better than the whole Nehi, Nephi, Laban. Like I hope the next chapter we don't have like a Zorbam. I'll be like, really? Can't we just get names that don't sound the same? Anyway, so that was chapter 4. On to chapter 5 of the book of Nephi. I'm not even sure how many verses there are. I'm reading this as like an ebook, so I can't like just flip. I mean, I could flip ahead, but that would just be dead air on the podcast. So, the plan is to go about an hour with each of these podcasts. So I'm, let's see, we're getting close. So I think chapter 5 will probably be the last one, unless it's incredibly short or long. We'll see. Enough babble. Here we go. Chapter 5. And it came to pass that after we had come down into the wilderness unto our father, behold, he was filled with joy. And also my mother Sarai was exceedingly glad, for she truly had mourned because of us. Yeah, I guess, assumed that her crazy husband with these dreams and sending her sons off to certain death, yeah, she was probably she was already mourning. She was like, well, they're dead. I have no sons. Bummer. Okay. I just keep reading. For she had supposed that we had perished in the wilderness. And she also had complained against my father, telling him that he was a visionary man, saying, she complained, saying he was visionary. Okay, hold on. Saying, behold, thou hast led us forth from the land of our inheritance, and my sons are no more, and we perish in the wilderness. After this manner of language had my mother complained against my father. Okay. So for lack of better terms, the mom is mad at the dad because, he sent his sons off to die because of a dream he had. I can see that being a thing. It had come to pass that my father spake unto her, saying, I know that I am a visionary man, for I had not seen the things of God in a vision, I should not have known the goodness of God, but had tarried at Jerusalem, and had perished with my brethren. A lot of double negatives there, but basically, if I didn't get a vision from God, then I wouldn't have known, that everyone in Jerusalem was bad, and I would have been bad with them. Can't have that. But behold, I've obtained a land of promise. You've obtained a land of promise? I don't know you've attained anything yet. You had a dream about a land of promise. Anyway, we'll see what he says. I have obtained a land of promise, in the which things I do rejoice, yea, and I know that the Lord will deliver my sons out of the hands of Laban, and bring them down again unto us in the wilderness. I'm sorry, I'm struggling on some of these words. The way it's worded is a bit old Englishy. Okay, so yeah, he had faith, and they weren't going to die, so he wasn't worried, and wife of little faith was all worried, shame on her. And after this manner of language did my father Lehi comfort my mother Sarai concerning us, while we were journeyed in the wilderness up to the land of Jerusalem to obtain the record of the Jews. And when we had returned to the tent of my father, behold, their joy was full, and my mother was comforted. And she spake, saying, Now I know of a surety that the Lord hath commanded my husband to flee into the wilderness, yea, and I also know of a surety that the Lord hath protected my sons, and delivered them out of the hands of Laban, and given them power whereby they could accomplish the things which the Lord hath commanded them. And after this manner of language did she speak. They keep ending sentences with that, and after this manner of language did they speak. I don't know what that... It doesn't make sense, but it's just basically saying, and she said that, I guess. Anyway. So yeah, she's basically like, okay, your dad sent you on a suicide mission and you didn't die, so I'll be damned, God's real, and your dad knows what he's talking about with his crazy dreams. So that convinced her. And it came to pass that they did rejoice exceedingly, and did offer sacrifice and burnt offerings unto the Lord, and they gave thanks unto the God of Israel. I mean, big party. It's the We're Not Dead party. That sounds like, I want to go to that one. Every time I go on a suicide mission and end up living, a party ensues. And after they had given thanks unto God of Israel, my father Lehi took the records which were engraved upon the plates of brass, and he did search them from the beginning. And he beheld that they did contain the 5 books of Moses, which gave an account of the creation of the world, and also of Adam and Eve, who were our first parents. And also a record of the Jews from the beginning, even down to the commencement of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, and also the prophecies of the holy prophets from the beginning, even down to the commencement of the reign of Zedekiah, and also many prophecies which have been spoken by the mouth of Jeremiah. So, you got the Old Testament, it sounds like, on plates of brass. Man, that would be big, wouldn't it? I mean, look, just on paper, it's huge. Brass. I think Mitch needed a caravan to carry that. All right. And then it came to pass that my father Lehi also found upon the plates of brass a genealogy of his fathers. Wherefore he knew that he was a descendant of Joseph. Joseph? Which Joseph? Like the Joseph that, whose brother sold him into slavery, and Joseph, coat of many colors, Joseph? Doesn't say. So we'll see. Descendant of Joseph, yea, even that Joseph who was the son of Jacob, who was sold into Egypt, who was preserved by the hand of the Lord, that he might preserve his father Jacob, and all his household from perishing with famine. Okay, so it's the Old Testament Joseph, who, the one, coat of many colors Joseph, that one. So these guys are all descendants from him, so they must feel pretty special about themselves. All right. And they were also led out of captivity and out of the land of Egypt by the same God who had preserved them. And thus my father Lehi did discover the genealogy of his fathers, and Laban also was a descendant of Joseph. You just chopped the head off your relative? Wherefore he and his fathers had kept the records. That's a tough way to find out that a guy you just murdered is a relative. Sorry about that, Nephi. I hope you can sleep okay tonight. And now when my father saw all these things, he was filled with the Spirit, and began to prophesy concerning his seed. His seed. Love it. And these plates of brass should go forth unto all nations, kindreds, almost screwed it up, kindreds, tongues, and people who were of his seed. Okay, so now that he knows his whole genealogy, he's like, I got to go around and find all my family and let them know what's on these plates. Wouldn't all the Jews know what's on the plates? I mean, was it a secret that only, what's his name, Laban had? That seems unlikely. All right, wherefore he said that these plates of brass should never perish, neither should they be dimmed any more by time. And he prophesied many things concerning his seed. Man is into his seed. And it came to pass that thus far I and my father had kept the commandments wherein the Lord had commanded us. And we had obtained these records which the Lord had commanded us, and searched them, and found that they were desirable, yea, even of great worth to us, insomuch that we could preserve the commandments of the Lord unto our children. Wherefore it was wisdom in the Lord that we should carry them with us, as we journeyed into the wilderness towards the land of promise. Wow, that was kind of a nice ending. So that's the end of chapter 5, and I think that's it for today. We're right at the hour mark. This is still a little nutty. Not quite as crazy as the first episode. I mean, it is, right? We've got guys having dreams and, uprooting families, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just used to that. People do that today. But the whole Joseph Smith story, that one, that was so entertaining to read. This was a little bit more boring, but not horrible. We've got a story, we got some family, crazy dad, had to leave town. Now they're kind of doing these spy missions back into the city. Heads are getting chopped off. So I guess actually now that I'm thinking back, it's at least it's a bit exciting. It's a page turner. So hopefully it keeps that same pace of entertainment value. And with that, I will leave you until next time, where we'll start with Chapter 6. And as always, please go to iTunes and rate this podcast. And even better yet, take a minute to write a short review. And if you'd like to leave any questions, comments, messages of any kind to me, then you can do so by leaving a post on my website or blog, which is mybookofmormonpodcast.com. You can also go to Facebook, facebook.com/mybookofmormonpodcast. And if you want to send me an email directly, you can always do that at comments@mybookofmormonpodcast.com. So I hope everyone is enjoying this as much as I am, and we'll see you next time. Bye. This song is licensed for use within this podcast. All song and copyright information can be found at www.mybookofmormonpodcast.com.